Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. Now, Phoebe, don't feel too mean with the rest of 'em 'cause they's parched up from not knowing things. Them meat-skins just got a rattle to make out they's alive. Let 'em consolate thyselves with talk. Course, talking don't amount to a hill of beans when you can't do nothing else. And listening to that kind of talk is just like opening your mouth and letting the moon shine down your throat. It's a known fact, Phoebe. You gotta go there to know there. Your papa and your mama and nobody else can't tell you and show you. Two things everybody gotta do for themselves. They gotta go to the God and they gotta find out about living for themselves. Brown Girl Brownstones by Paul Marshall. Miss Mary died a few months later. Entering the room, Selina saw the wizened form contorted in the last throes, the pinched mouth open as if to speak and the quiet stare. She was not afraid, for there was no difference between this and Miss Mary's living death in the dust-yellow tomb. A thought sparked and died as she stood there beside the bed. Perhaps everyone had his tomb. The mother hunched over the table all night might be locked in hers. Her father, stretched on the cot, might have been sealed in his, just as she was shut within the lonely region of herself. She might never find a way out, but like Miss Mary, move from one death to another. Suddenly she resented the old woman for having lured her as a child into her tomb with her crooning memories. For the first time her resentment reached out to her father for having died and left her always to mourn. She wanted something else. She sought it in the old woman's set eyes, which were startlingly blue now and clear, as though life was simply an impurity which death washed away. The air in the room seemed washed also. The tarnished dust was gone, and the silence no longer hummed of the past. She heard noises from the street, the brash, surging, alive sound of children playing. It rushed in to fill the emptiness, and caught between that clamorous call and Miss Mary's fixed silence. She knew what she wanted. It was not so much a thought as something deeply felt, to flow out of herself into life, to touch and know it fully, and, in turn, to be touched by it, and then, sometimes, to withdraw and be quiet within herself. But how? How even to begin? She did not know. The Black Woman, an Anthology by Tony Bambara. A not-so-subtle example of this anti-blackness juts out at us from the words and actions of our latest crop of vanguard liberators. Once again, as if history has taught us nothing, we have become black fronts taking money and orders from our great white fathers, who amply reward us by giving us all the publicity we think we need as they make us sound tough and affectionately call their new leader, a quintessential American. Old Uncle Tom has come back as a city slicker. Again, we are being duped by people who tell us that the anti-Africanism, and I deliberately say anti-Africanism here and not anti-blackness, that runs rampant throughout this world, its poisonous fangs prickling even the most well-meaning souls. This problem of anti-Africanism, we are told, must take a back seat to Karl Marx's priorities. It is far easier to deal in that dubious world that to turn inward and unite and build ourselves. I will dare to go farther. Even though I identify with the other colored peoples of this world, since we all share a common exploiter, and I know that being the majority of the world's population, we should unite to defeat this man, I still have the sneaking suspicion that much of the third world embrace is yet another unconscious desire not to deal with Africa itself and with ourselves as we finally must. I heard a very passionate denouncement of the United States for its involvement in Latin America by an American African. When asked his feelings about U.S. involvement in Africa, his face showed bewilderment. What involvement? For Colored Girls Who've Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough by Nitasake Shange. Somebody almost walked off with all of my stuff. Not my poems or a dance I gave up in the street, but somebody almost walked off with all of my stuff, like a kleptomaniac, working hard and forgetting while stealing. This is mine. This ain't your stuff. Now why don't you put me back and let me hang out in my own self? Somebody almost walked off with all of my stuff and didn't care enough to send a note home saying I was late for my solo conversation or 2 sizes too small for my own tacky skirts. What can anybody do with something of no value on an open market? Did you get a dime for my things? Hey man, where are you going with all of my stuff? This is a woman's trip, and I need my stuff. About daddy, I got a mainline number for my own shit. Now, once you put me back and let me play this duet with this silver ring in my nose, honest to God, somebody almost run off with all of my stuff. And I didn't bring anything but the kick and sway of it. The perfect ass for my man, and none of it's theirs. This is mine. Natsake, her own things. That's my name. Now give me my stuff. I see you hiding my laugh and how I sit with my legs open sometimes to give my crotch some sunlight. And there goes my love, my toes, my chewed up fingernails. Nigga, with the curls in your hair, Mr. Louisiana Hot Link, I want my stuff back. My rhythm and my voice. Open my mouth and let me talk you out of throwing my shit in the sewer. This is some delicate leg and whimsical kiss I gotta have to give to my choice without you running off with all of my shit. Now you can't have me lest I give me away, and I was doing all that till you run off on a good thing. Who is this you left me with? Some simple bitch with a bad attitude. I wants my things. I want my arm with the hot iron scar and my leg with the flea bite. I want my calloused feet and quick language back in my mouth. Fried plantains, pineapple pear juice, Sun Ra and Joseph and Jules. I want my own things, how I live them, and give me my memories. How it was when I was there. You can't have them or do nothing with them, stealing my shit from me. Don't make it yours, make it stolen. Somebody almost run off all of my stuff, and I was standing there, looking at myself the whole time, and it wasn't a spirit took my stuff, it was a man whose ego walked round like rodent shadow, was a man faster in my innocence, was a lover I made too much room for, almost run off with all of my stuff, and I didn't know I'd give it up so quick. And the one running with it don't know he got it. And I'm shouting this is mine, and he don't know he got it. My stuff is the anonymous, ripped-off treasure of the year. Did you know somebody almost got away with with me and the plastic bag under their arm, me dangling on a string of personal carelessness? I'm spattered with mud and city rain, and no, I didn't get a chance to take a douche. Hey man, this is not your prerogative. I got have me in my pocket to get around like a good woman should. And make the poem in the pot or the chicken in the dance what I got to do. I got to have my stuff to do. Why don't you find your own things and leave this package of me for my destiny? What you got to get from me? I'll give it to you. Yeah, I'll give it to you. Around 5 o'clock in the winter when the sky is blue-red and Dew City is getting pressed. If it's really my stuff, you got to give it to me. If you really want it, I'm the only one can handle it. The Color Purple by Alice Walker. Ain't no way to read the Bible and not think God white, she say. Then she sigh. When I found out I thought God was white and a man, I lost interest. You mad 'cause he don't seem to listen to your prayers? Humph. Do the mayor listen to anything colored say? Ask Sophia. She say. But I don't have to ask Sophia. I know white people never listen to colored, period. If they do, they only listen long enough to be able to tell you what to do. Here's the thing, say Suge. The thing I believe. God is inside you and inside everybody else. You come into the world with God, but only them that search for it inside find it. And sometimes it just manifests itself, even if you're not looking or don't know what you're looking for. Trouble do it for most folks, I think. Sorrow, Lord, feeling like shit. I asked, yeah, it God ain't a he or a she, but a it. But what do it look like? I asked. Don't look like nothing, she say. It ain't a picture show. It ain't something you can look at apart from anything else, including yourself. I believe God is everything, say Suge. Everything that is or ever was or ever will be. And when you can feel that, and be happy to feel that, you found it. Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde. I know the anger that lies inside of me like I know the beat of my heart and the taste of my spit. It is easier to be angry than to hurt. Anger is what I do best. It is easier to be furious than to be yearning. Easier to crucify myself in you than to take on the threatening universe of whiteness by admitting that we are worth wanting each other. As black women, we have shared so many similar experiences. Why doesn't this commonality bring us closer together instead of setting us at each other's throats with weapons well honed by familiarity? The anger with which I meet another black woman's slightest deviation from my immediate need or desire or concept of a proper response is a deep and hurtful anger, chosen only in the sense of a choice of desperation, reckless through despair. That anger which masks my pain that we are so separate who should most be together, my pain that she could perhaps not need me as much as I need her, or see me through the blunted eye of the haters, that I know so well from my own distorted images of her. Erase or be erased. Bailey's Cafe by Gloria Naylor. I never dreamed that she meant lights, sparkling, shimmering waves of light. We could see them from the front of the cafe. Besides the few customers, everyone who lived on the street was gathered inside, and I mean everyone, even strange little Esther. She'd squeezed herself into the darkest corner of the room, sitting on the floor with her arms wrapped around her bent knees, but even her face was in awe. Silvers, pearls, iridescent pinks. They now sprayed out into the sunless room and hit the ceiling, the walls, the floor, glowing copper, gilded orange, and all kinds of gold. Sequins of light that swirled and spun through the air, cascades of light flowing in, breaking up, and rolling like fluid diamonds over the worn tile. Emerald, turquoise, sapphire. It went on for hours. I looked over there, and there were tears streaming down Gabe's wrinkled face. God bless you, Eve. And finally, only the muted glow of a cool aquamarine. Then we heard the baby's first thin cry, and the place went wild. Home, by Toni Morrison. Truthfully, other than getting lucky back in Lotus and some street girls in Kentucky, I've had only 2 regular women. I like the small, breakable thing inside each one. Whatever their personality, smarts, or looks, something soft lay inside each, like a bird's breastbone shaped and chosen to wish on, a little V, thinner than bone and lightly hinged, that I could break with a forefinger if I wanted to, but never did. Want to, I mean. Knowing it was there, hidden from me, was enough. It was the third woman who changed everything. In her company, the little wishbone V took up residence in my own chest and made itself at home. It was her forefinger that kept me on edge.